Well, hello everyone out there on the internet. This is Chris McKee with Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas, and you can find us online at alamomusic.com. So today we get to be part of the announcement from Taylor Guitars of a brand new body shape, not just a model, but an entire new shape, an entire new guitar from the ground up from Taylor. And that is part of what I am holding in my hands here. This is the new Taylor Grand Pacific. It is a round-shouldered dreadnought guitar, and there's a lot that has gone into the making of this guitar, to the tone, and what it means for Taylor and for Andy Powers Designs going forward. So I'd like to have this opportunity to introduce you to this fine instrument and tell you about its journey, my journey, getting a chance to play these, and what's significant about it. So if you're familiar with Taylor guitars at all, you are probably familiar with Taylor guitars with their Grand Auditorium. And that is the body shape that is designated typically as like an 814 to 714. It's got a 4 on the end of it. And that is their most popular body shape. It is an original body shape that Taylor designed back in the 90s. And it really culminated with what Taylor does well. It is a modern guitar that basically handles a lot of things. It's as deep and wide as a dreadnought. It's got a tighter waist. You can strum it. You can flat pick it. You can finger pick it. It's kind of been this jack of all trades with a decidedly modern tone. And this guitar, when I had a chance to hear it, was immediately strikingly different from what you would come to expect from a Taylor sound. Now, if I try to define that sound, I'm going to take a page out of Andy Powers' book by saying it's difficult to describe sounds with human words. But we tend to use things like sparkly, bright, projecting, all of these tones that represent this modern, very present, very articulate sound from Taylor guitars. And probably nothing else represents that better than an 814 CE, particularly with the new V bracing that Andy Powers introduced last year. So with this new body shape, there have been a lot of changes, and part of the change is to the tone. And I heard Andy describe the tone between the two guitars this way. He said that the typical Taylor sound is that of a triangle. It's kind of in your face, it is very articulate. You strum a chord, you can hear every single note in it, and everything kind of jumps out at you. This new guitar, I'm going to tell you, has more of a rounder, circular type shape to it. Or to use another definition or description from Andy Powers, a typical modern Taylor like an 814 is like the light in the middle of the afternoon on a summer day. It's bright, it's white, it's beautiful, it's just brilliant. And this new guitar is more like the light on a fall day toward the evening as the sun's beginning to set. And it becomes warm and orangey and softer. And it's still very beautiful, but it's very different. So that's what this guitar is. It's a different sound for Taylor guitars. Let's talk about what the body shape is and what's changed. So what I'm holding in my hands, first of all, is a builder's edition of this guitar. So again, the name is the Grand Pacific. This is a 517 model. So it's part of the 500 series, and it is a builder's edition. So I'll indicate what changes with the builder's edition. But it is a spruce and mahogany round-shouldered dreadnought guitar. At launch, there will be 3 guitars that are available. We're going to show you 2 of those today. There'll be a 517, which is what I'm holding, again, spruce and mahogany. There'll be a 717, which is spruce and rosewood. Either of those is available with a burst finish or as a natural top, with or without electronics. Both of the models that I have are without electronics. And there will also be a 317E that will be available at launch. And then it will be moving through the rest of the US-made lineup after that. The Builder's Editions will be the first two to launch. So the 517 Builder's Edition, 717 Builder's Edition, and then the 317. The bit of features that are available and some of the delicate touches, kind of nuanced aspects to the design speak to what's happening tonally. So you have a torrefied spruce top. You have mahogany back and sides. It does have V bracing. And it's not just a new body. There have been some changes to this bracing, and I talked to Andy about that. He described the changes as small, but with the new bracing, small changes make a big difference.
Yeah, little changes will always matter. I mean, really everything matters. Some things matter a lot, some things matter a little. Some things like how much coffee you drank that morning, what pick you're holding, what strings you put on the guitar matter more than, sometimes scale length or a wood choice even. Those little details can really be significant. But when in the context of the V-Class guitars, the design is so responsive that even little changes, little alterations to a part, you'll hear it, and you'll hear it in a dramatic way.
Yeah.
So even different woods, they were different before, but now they're even more different. They have more of their own unique characteristics, more of their own flavors. So I think that's a good thing.
So it's not just that they took a dreadnought and rounded the shoulders up here at top, and then just given it V-bracing. There's things that have gone on to influence the tone of this instrument. The binding on all of these is rounded off, as we saw on last year's Builder's Edition models, which is very, very nice. No cutaways will be offered on these guitars. Also rounded is the bridge, so it's extremely comfortable on the palm of the hand as you rest it down there. The heel of the neck has also been rounded off, and you'll notice there is no strap button. Andy feels that the strap button placement sometimes gets in the way when it's here, and they've opted to basically not put it on the instrument, and you can have one installed wherever you'd like, or just use a traditional strap around the headstock behind the nut. It has a new neck carve for the Builder's Edition models, and it's a very subtle kind of compound carve on the back of it. It's a bit of a soft V up in the kind of first position, or as I've heard someone say, here's the upper register and down here's the cash register. Okay, so in the cash register, it's kind of this soft V that fits very, very nicely in your hand, and then it flattens out as you move up the neck. It's extremely fast, it's extremely comfortable, and if I hadn't told you what was going on, you probably wouldn't know. You would just know it played very, very well. It's an ebony bridge and fingerboard, as we've come to expect from Taylor. New inlay for this model, chrome Taylor tuners, and as I mentioned before, it's available with or without the ES2 pickup system. I happen to just love this burst finish, and like I mentioned before, you can get the mahogany or the rosewood version, either one, with the rosewood or with the burst or without the burst, with electronics, without the electronics. So this is the 517. Let me show you the 717. So this is the 717 Builder's Edition model. Again, this will be available at launch with the 517 and the 317 model. This particular one has the natural top. It is torrefied, as I mentioned, so it is a little darker due to that kind of heat process that the top goes through. So it's not as kind of bright white as a brand new non-torrefied Sitka spruce top usually would be. Very, very nice top actually on both of these guitars, and they sound phenomenal. It's basically like the 517 we just looked at, but with rosewood back and sides. Rosewood, of course, from a tonal standpoint, is going to give you a deeper, richer bass and also a higher, more present bell-like chime on the treble side. The mahogany version is going to have a stronger, more focused mid-range with less bass and less treble, and this real nice kind of sweetness and roundness to the notes. The new models have a bit of a vintage look to them, and in some ways a vintage tone, but not. So I want to kind of address what Andy is envisioning, what he's trying to accomplish by building these guitars, because I visited with him a lot about this. These guitars are vintage inspired, but they're not made to be Taylor's vintage take on an old Martin or an old Gibson. And we'll later do some comparison videos on our channel for you so you can hear how it sounds compared to those that it draws inspiration from. But rather than try to match the sound of an old Gibson per se, what Andy was trying to do is match the sound on the recordings of those old instruments. When you listen to old recordings of, say, like the Carter family, there's a realization that if you sit in front of a stereo playing the exact same guitar that they were playing, it doesn't sound the same because it's gone through some editing process. Little quirks, little things that were present in those instruments have to be dealt with through editing, through mixing of those albums. And so what he was really trying to accomplish is to capture the sound on those songs that came from that era. That sound that is rich in Americana music and country and bluegrass that we're familiar with. That's what we're trying to capture through the instrument itself without the benefit of mixing and editing and all of that. And so that's the inspiration behind the tone of these instruments. And then along with that, it has the V-bracing. So from a sound standpoint, it's loud and has great sustain, but it also has the improved intonation. And so just like the guitars that came out last year, everything sounds great all the way up and down the neck, from the cash register to the upper register. All of the notes ring true, and you don't have the warble that you have from previous X-Brace guitars on certain chords that you play. That slight dissonance from the overtones and whatnot is missing. And so really what he's tried to do is capture that sound, corrected, if you will, for the modern guitar player who wants to record, who wants to perform, but wants that warm, round, vintage recording-inspired guitar. So that's what we have here with the Grand Pacific. So to illustrate that, what we want to show you is what these two guitars sound like, but also a comparison of what they sound like with what's probably been the quintessential Taylor signature sound guitar, which is the 814 CE. So take a listen. So there you have it. I hope you can hear the differences between the 800 series and the 717 and the 517 Grand Pacific guitars that are new for 2019 from Taylor. My opinion, I think these are phenomenal guitars. I was impressed upon hearing them for the first time. I've been impressed with the goals that Andy set forth in designing these guitars. I think they're beautiful. The cases are absolutely beautiful. Hopefully you saw that from our footage. It's like tooled leather paisley look on both of the cases. They're just really phenomenal guitars, and I think they have their place among all of the guitars that have inspired it, and that a lot of traditional blues and bluegrass and country and kind of Americana players would look to. So, if you're looking for a guitar that plays true, sounds great, has fantastic sustain, wonderful intonation, and has that rich, round tone to it, then you really owe it to yourself to try one of these guitars. If you'd like more information about these, go to our website. It's at alamomusic.com. These were early samples that were sent to us from Taylor for this specific review, so we can have it out to you as soon as these are announced. But we'll be glad to answer any questions that you have on these and take pre-orders on any of the models that are currently available at launch from you. So again, go to alamomusic.com. You can find the information there. Feel free to come in and speak to us, call us, or contact us through the internet. We'd be glad to answer any questions that you have about these. As always, I want to thank you for watching, and stay tuned to this channel for more comparisons on these and reviews of all the new stuff that's coming out at the beginning of the year here in 2019. I'll see you next time. Hey, thanks so much for watching our videos. If you enjoy what we're putting out, help support this channel by going down below and purchasing one of the t-shirts we've made for you. Rock your support for one of the oldest music stores in Texas and the country, and your love of guitar. Just purchase below, help support our videos, and go to our website, alamomusic.com, for more goodies that you can get. Thanks.